This is the Seat Ibiza 2004 model, and it's got a 1.4 16 valves petrol engine, which develops a whopping 75 horsepower and 127 Newton meter. And I'm gonna tell you a couple of things about it. Firstly, let me share a little story with you. When I was searching for a car, the car I really wanted to buy was the Ford Fiesta, same generation with this. I really wanted that car and I ended up testing over 5 cars. I looked on the internet for a good car to drive and one that's also reliable and of course cheap. So I thought the Fiesta is that car. So why I ended up buying this then? Because I didn't like the Ford. I didn't like the engine. I didn't like the gearbox. And overall I just didn't like the way it felt. So at that point I started to look for a Seat Ibiza. And this is actually the first one I drove and I was blown away by how good it was compared with the Ford. When I first stepped into it, everything just felt right. So what about the driving experience? All the controls have a nice feeling. The steering, it's a bit heavier. It's definitely heavier than the ones you'll find on a modern car, but that's because those new cars have really light steering. The thing that actually blew me away when I first drove this car was the gear change. It's so easy to change gear and you never miss one. That's also helped by the light clutch pedal, which has quite a long travel, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. The brakes are good and the ride is a bit on the firm side, but that means better handling around corners. And the last but definitely not least is the engine, which has good low down torque and revs nice to the top. Now the downside is it's not the most economical engine. I can manage around 7 liters per 100 kilometers. And for me, I think that's reasonable. What I really like are those rev match down changes. You might wonder what is rev matching. When you are changing to a lower gear, the revs have to be higher to maintain the same road speed. And how you do that? Well, before you take your foot off the clutch, you just blip the throttle, and then when you release the clutch, it makes for a smooth gear change, which also reduces clutch wear. I know it sounds simple, but trust me, it's not, because you basically have to guess how many revs it needs. Let's say if you're down changing from 4th to 3rd at 80 kilometers an hour. It needs practice. I'm gonna show you how it's done. I recommend you to try it in the higher gears because the shock will be minimal. At first, don't try it from 3rd to 2nd or even worse from 2nd to 1st, because you'll have good chances in damaging your car. So don't do that. The most annoying thing for me about this car is the noise, the road noise and the wind noise. It's so noisy here, even at low speeds. At motorway speeds, it's terrible. I find myself turning the music way up. Reliability wise, I had this car for about 3 years and I put roughly 20,000 kilometers on the clock. Besides a problem with the passenger door lock mechanism, I didn't have any issues, just normal maintenance. So I think it's a reliable car. I think the interior has a nice design and good ergonomics. The steering can be adjusted on height and reach. Both seats are adjustable on height and it's easy to get a comfortable position. The driving position is quite low and the center console is oriented towards the driver. With the front seat adjusted in my driving position, I have enough headroom and also knee room, and I'm about 1.8 meters. The visibility is very good in this car, partly because this is a 3-door version, and as you can see the B-pillars are a bit further back. As you can probably tell, I have made a couple of minor modifications to this car. I painted the front grille ring, the mirror covers, and of course the wheels. Oh, and on the right fender I just put a racing flag to make it look sportier. Actually no, I'm lying. I just put that to cover the rust. This is a common issue with these cars. So for me, the thing I like most about this car is that it feels very mechanical. It's an easy car to drive, but if you want to drive it smooth, then it's a bit difficult. It takes a bit of getting used to. But when you're getting everything right, man, it's just so rewarding and puts a smile on your face. And honestly, that's the essence of this car for me.